Finally landing my feet in Australia's Red Centre was so thrilling for me. I felt like I'd reached the real outback when I got to Kings Creek Station in Northern Territory. Kings Creek is a cattle station, like a ranch, except like everything in Northern Territory, it's huge. The best way to get around is on a four-wheeler or quad bike over these red sand roads. And it was thrilling for me to be driving for hours in the middle of nowhere, but then to discover that actually people have been living here for thousands of years. These Aboriginal rock carvings show that there's water in the area, and these markings mean that there's kangaroos around, just like the kangaroo paw prints. And it wasn't hard to find this Aboriginal stone tool chipped out of quartzite just lying on the ground. The scenery in the outback is harsh, beautiful, and massive, so I felt like the best way to see it was to take to the air. I love traveling by helicopter because it allows you to fly quite low and just skim across the landscapes. We went right over the edge of this mountain range, which is the George Gill Range in Northern Territory. I was lucky because it was quite green. The outback isn't always this bright green, but I was there in the middle of summer and there had been a lot of rain, so even some of the rivers had water in them. The valleys are vast and empty, but most of the streams look like this, just pink sand, where a flood has left a path through the desert. The wildlife in the outback is a strange mix of native and introduced species, like these wild camels, if you can see them. There's about 1 million strong roaming the outback, and these dark brown figures you see here are brumbies, wild horses, which roam all across Australia. The roads in the outback really stand out because of the glowing pink and red soil, but for the most part, there are no roads. And I think that's what's so exhilarating about visiting the outback. I think most of us have never been to a place that is so empty and untouched by modern civilization. I've always disliked the term wasteland because it fails to recognize what these landscapes have to offer. Traveling in the outback is a very emotional kind of travel because you're confronting nature on just a mammoth scale. This is not just the desert, it's actually a semi-arid desert, which means it rains a good deal. And when it does rain, you get these pools of water that collect on the rocks, and you can see how wildlife and humans have survived here for so long. This local Aboriginal community at the base of the mountain range actually grows vegetables and sells them to a lot of the outlying areas. This rocky outcropping is one of their sacred sites that's still in use today. My memory of the outback will definitely be one of remoteness, of solitude and silence, but above all, beauty.